Good morning and welcome. I have a special video for you today. In today's video, I will be sharing with you 8 unique and creative fall wreaths. I use several different wreath forms and materials to create these beautiful fall wreaths. Let me show you how to make them. To get started today, you're going to need one of these MDF words that you can pick up from Dollar Tree. They have a couple different ones to choose from. I decided to use the one that says family. You can also use the one that says welcome. Now I'm going to get this painted. I've decided to use the Folk Art Vintage White. I wanted something that wasn't real white, but a little bit more creamy. This will probably take you 2 coats to get a good coverage. My family is painted. I'm going to set this aside and allow it to fully dry. You're also going to need one of these 9.8-inch floral foam wreaths you can pick up at Dollar Tree. And then you're also going to need several stems of this really beautiful pumpkin maple stems that you can pick up from Dollar Tree. I grabbed these last year, but I did look and they are having them back again this year. And they are hitting your stores now. To prep your florals, simply push everything up to the top and leave yourself a good about 1.5 inches. I really do like these stems. Some have berries, some have pretty little pumpkins, and then the leaves themselves are just so pretty. I will let you know when I am complete how many stems you're going to need. And I'm going to be covering the base here, and what I like to do is I like to take them and push them in and get my hole all ready. That'll also let me know if my stem is too long. And then I have my Sure Bonder glue pot over here, so I'm going to be using that, and I just dip it in the glue and then go back and place it back in the hole. Now if you don't have a glue pot, that's fine. You can just use your glue gun. And then you just want to mix up whether you're doing the plain leaves, the ones with the pumpkins, or the ones with the berries. You also want to do some down on the side and some down on the inner side. For your convenience, in the description box below is a detailed list of all the tools and materials I used to complete this beautiful blue and white fall wreath. And slowly work your way around the wreath until you get your base covered. My base is finished. It took a total of 7 stems to cover the base. Here is what the back looks like. Let's get our word family attached to the wreath here in the center. To attach family, you will also need some floral wire. I prefer the silver as it disappears on most colors. I have attached one here on the L, pulled it to the back and twisted it. I've done it again here on the A. Once you have it centered, run the floral wire to the back of the wreath and around the floral foam wreath and twist it to attach. I have my word family attached. I'm very happy with its placement. Now this is the time to go back to kind of adjust your leaves to make sure that you can see your pumpkins. If you can't see them, readjust them. If you need to pull them off, you can pull them off. Clip off a piece of the stem that was left over, glue it in, and then stick it in someplace else. Because sometimes to show them, you kind of have to show the wreath base, and you don't want to do that. So that's what I did here. I did pull 2 out. I added one below the family and then one over here above. So I'm going to play with this a little bit more, but before I do that, we're going to work on our bow. Now we're going to do a nice simple bow. You'll need 1 full-length pipe cleaner in white. And this is the ribbon that I've chosen. It's by Expressions. It's this really pretty white. It is slightly glittered and textured. I really do like it. It's nice and stiff. And this is 1.5 inches at 10 yards. It is 100% polyester. Excuse me. That is the number. And I did pick this up at Craft Outlet. And we're going to be doing a hand-tied bow. I have not done a hand-tied bow in a long time, but this is just going to be a nice, simple, basic bow. So I'm going to start with my tail, and my tail, I don't want it very long. I only want it about 4 inches. So I'm just going to measure there, and then I'm going to pinch. Sometimes if you give it a little twist on the extra stiff ribbon, it makes it a little bit easier. So I'm going to hold that. Now I want my loops to be about 3 inches, so I'm going to measure here at 6. And then I'm going to pinch there and then bring that together. That is 1 loop. I'm going to measure at 6 again. Pinch and bring it back. Like I said, this ribbon is nice and stiff. I just need to adjust that a little bit. Now I'm going to measure again at 6 inches. Pinch, bring back. One more time at 6 inches. Pinch and bring back. And now I'm going to do my other tail at 4 inches. Okay. I'm going to take my pipe cleaner there and go right around the center. Pull it to the back, get it nice and tight. And give it a nice twist. Open it up. I always like to grab my bows right in the center while I kind of work it out. So I'm going to pull my tails down, kind of open up my bows and my loops. Now do any adjusting that I need to now. If my loops didn't come out even, or if I'm having trouble getting them to lay the way that I want, now is the time to adjust them. So I do like that. It's just a really nice, simple, clean bow. I don't want it to be too busy because I like the simplicity of this wreath. And now we'll dovetail the ends. Since this is a nice stiff ribbon, I can go a little bit stronger there on my dovetail and not worry about those ends curling in. If you have really thin or inexpensive ribbon, you have to be careful how strong of a dovetail you get. Otherwise, your little ends here just curl under and then it doesn't even look like a dovetail. But there you go. Nice, cute, and simple. I went through and fluffed. Now there were 2 pumpkins that I just could not pull up to see, so I pulled them off and then just glued them on one of the stems that I had left over. Once I get my bow on, I'll go back and strategically place those. I've decided I want to put my bow right up here. And a trick that I like to do on my bows so that they don't sink into my wreaths is right here. I kind of figure out the depth that I need where I want my bow to sit. And I need this about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. So about 1.5 inches here, I've twisted down. That still gives me plenty of pipe cleaner, but that will allow my bow to sit up on the top of my wreath and not get pulled down. And then to get this attached, once I find where I want it to go, Just take the pipe cleaner and feed one on either side of the wreath form. Just kind of hide it underneath those leaves. Pull it down into the back and give it a twist. Oh, I think that looks so pretty. Now the last thing we need to do is put a hanger on it. And you're just going to need a full-length pipe cleaner. You just want to run it around the floral foam wreath. Now when I secure, I always like to twist my ends around my pipe cleaners like that, and then I do the other side. This makes it very secure. And then I like to take that twisted part, put it to the back, and then pull it together and twist. And then that'll give me my hanger. It'll also still allow me to slide it a little bit here on the wreath in case I need to adjust it for weight distribution. Well, there you go. We are all done. I am so happy with how this turned out. I absolutely love blue and white together. To get started on today's project, you're going to need 2 of these turkey wood cutouts. Now the reason why I'm using 2 is because they are really thin this year. If you have one from the past that is thicker, then you can use 1, but these are really thin. So I'm going to glue 2 of them together to make them nice and sturdy. And I'm going to use a combination of this super glue and Elmer's school glue. Now to spread this around, I'm going to be using one of these paint brushes. Now I did pre-wet this and wrung it out. It'll just make it easier for me to move the glue around and to get it nice and even. You want to get it all the way out to all the edges, and you need it to stay moist until you can get it fully covered. Just make sure it's evenly coated and you got it all the way to the edge, all the way around. And then line up the other one. Squeeze them together. If you have any, if you have a large amount of glue ooze out, make sure to wipe it off. And I have 2 pieces of cardboard here. I'm going to put this down in between the 2 pieces of cardboard. Now you can use poster board, cardboard, just something large and flat. Make sure you're well lined up. Put another piece on top, and then you want to weigh this down with a book or something heavy. Once you get it weighed down, you want to let this sit overnight so that you get a good seal. The glue will take a full 24 hours to fully cure. My 2 pieces of my turkey are glued together. It is much more sturdy. I'm very happy about that. I initially planned on staining my turkey, but for some reason the stain was not taking evenly over the turkey. So I changed my mind and decided to paint the base. I have my turkey all painted. Now I painted the whole base apple barrel burnt umber, and I really do love that dark rich brown. And then here on the face for the beak, I just went over the dark brown with some King's Gold. And then I mixed a little bit of the lipstick red in with the dark brown for his little gizzard or whatever this is called. And then for the eye, I just used a black Sharpie. Now that's the only detail that I'm going to add to my turkey because I want the main focus to be on his plumage, his feathers in the back on this wreath. Next, you're going to need a 14-inch wire wreath form that you can get from Dollar Tree. This one happens to be gold, but you can use whatever color you can find. And then you're also going to need some plastic canvas. Now the plastic canvas, usually you can find over in like the embroidery section. And you need a piece that's large enough to fill the center of a 14-inch wreath. And I believe I picked mine up from Walmart. So just lay your wreath form down and take a little Sharpie or other pen and then just trace out the center so you know what size to cut it. And it cuts relatively easy, you just need a good pair of scissors. So we're going to attach our plastic canvas to the center of our wreath, and I'm just going to be using some nylon ties. So just find a space next to the side, push your nylon tie through. And attach it to the center ring. Just like that, and then work your way around. You'll want to put one zip tie at each crossbar. This is what it should look like once you get your plastic canvas attached. Just go in and trim your zip ties. So now when I attach my turkey, I want to attach him kind of over to the side here. All of his feathers are going to come out back here, and that's going to be the part of our wreath. So there are two things I want to make sure. One, this hole up here is going to be where a crossbar is so I can attach it. Two, this piece down here needs to be far enough down that it covers the wire frame there. And three, this piece needs to be up and covering the frame. So I can only see just a very small, tiny amount, so let me move it. There you go. So you don't want to see any of the wire frame here or down here. You want the sign to cover it. Okay, so that way it looks like the turkey's walking this way and then all of his feathers are behind him. So once you have the placement correctly, you want to take your Sharpie and then again just kind of roughly go over so you can see where it is and where your placement's going to be. So now you know exactly where your turkey is going to be placed. You know you don't have to put any mesh here, but that you do need to start your mesh before the line so that you don't see it. So let's finish setting up the sign to be attached. Here in the hole where the jute cord was, we're going to put some floral wire. And I just used the floral wire that I pick up from Dollar Tree. This is 26 gauge and you get 100 feet. They have several different colors to choose from. I do prefer the silver because it pretty much disappears no matter what color I use it on. So you put it through the hole, one through the hole, one over the top. Pull it to the back and give it a good twist. You just need to make sure that you're leaving it long enough so that you can attach it to the wire frame. So I have my two pieces long enough to attach. that right there is approximately how I have it. So now you need to look and see where you need to add your 2 pipe cleaners. So I can see I want to put one about here and one about here so that I can attach it to the wire frame. So that's right there. Just add a nice dab of hot glue. I have both of my pipe cleaners and my floral wire attached to my turkey. So my turkey is all ready to go onto my wreath. For our turkey feathers, I'm going to be using a combination of these 2. This one is Celebrate It. It is from the fall section. It is 9.5 inches at 19 feet. I did pick this one up at Michael's. I really did like all the fall colors in there. Reds, blues, oranges, yellows, very, very pretty. And then I'm also going to be using this one, which is the jute colored. This is 10 inches by 10 yards. This is the Poly Pro mesh ribbon. This I picked up from Hobby Lobby. So I've started to attach our little bundles here to our wreath form. Now it's a lot easier if you go in and you set up some of your zip ties ahead of time before you make your bundles. So we're going to be attaching in each section, and each section is between the 2 crossbars, 5 bundles, and we're going to be attaching it to this second ring from the center right here. So we're only going to be attaching it to a single ring. Okay, just run your zip tie underneath, pull it in, get it down to where it started, and then set it to a side. You'll want to put 5 of these in each section. You want to take your mesh, you want to cut it into strips at 10 inches. You'll want to use either a rotary cutter or a really good pair of scissors. And then once you have your piece, you want to grab diagonal corners and slightly pull. So then you take one corner, put it down. I like to fold it a little bit like that. Same thing on the other diagonal corner, fold down, fold in. Take that section, bring it to the middle. Take the other side and bring that to the middle, and then scrunch right in the center. Like that. Then you're going to take those 2, you're going to bring them together and turn it over. You want these cut sides to be down. So it looks like that. You grab that, you slide it into your zip tie. Lay it down to the one next to it so you come through the same amount, and then pull down your zip tie, get it nice and tight, and trim. Now for this outer ring, they will all be the same pattern. Then on the next ring, I'll change to the plain jute colored mesh, and I'll just go back and forth as I layer down. So I'll show you one more time. You want to cut your mesh into strips of 10 inches. Grab opposite corners, give a little tug. Fold your corner in, fold over. Fold your corner in, fold over, bring that to the center, bring the other side to the center, and then scrunch right in the middle. Okay, and then you take those and you fold them together, bring them down side by side, and turn it over so that your cut side is down. slip it in, come alongside the next one so you're in the same depth, and tighten down. I think that looks so pretty. Now I have my first row all the way in, and I'm really happy with the result. I am now adding my second row and the second color of mesh, and I wanted to show you here how I attach them. I'm still using the zip ties, and I just use the holes here in the plastic canvas, and I string it through. I start from the front and go down and then come back up through the back. And you want to make sure that you go at least 2 spaces away. You don't want to go to the one right next to it. Otherwise, when you try to tighten it down, it'll just break and pull through. And you can see that's quite a bit of a distance that I dropped down. That's a good 2.5 inches. I have my second row in, and I think it looks absolutely fabulous. Now on my second row, it took about 23 bundles. On my outer ring, it took 20. And the reasoning why is I wanted to make sure that I filled in those spaces where my sign is. So my sign's still going to go about here, and I wanted to make sure you couldn't see the wreath form behind it. So I filled in with that color. Now I only have 4 more pieces of my fabric here. So I want to make sure I place those strategically, and then I'll fill in the rest with my jute colored fabric. But as you can see, like this area is already filled in enough, and this area, but this area still needs more. So this is where I'm going to concentrate. I have all my mesh on my wreath, and I am so happy with the result. I think that is absolutely gorgeous. Very, very pretty. And then once I get my sign placed, you can see that you won't be able to see any of my work or the wreath form. Now before I place this on my wreath, there's one more thing I want to do to help prepare this for being outside. I'm going to be putting this wreath on my front door. I found this at my local hardware store, Min Wax Paste Finishing Wax. It protects and polishes furniture, trim, paneling, natural. I'm going to be using this to put a nice sealed cover over the top of my turkey because it's going to be outside on my front door during fall. So we get a lot of rain, moisture, warm days, cold nights. Okay, now this wax is slightly tinted, but that's okay. Once I get this on, I don't think you're going to notice. Just use an old rag and then just go over and give it a nice light rub. Once you've gone over it once lightly with a good coat, take a nice clean spot on your rag and go over and remove any excess. I really like that. It added just a slight sheen and made the paint look nice and rich. This will protect it from the weather. Now I used all of the pattern roll of mesh. That was only 19 feet long. This jute colored mesh was 10 yards, and I do have a little bit of this left, so if I needed to, I could always go back and add some more. So I just wanted to recap what I did. On the outer ring, I did 20 bundles. On the inner ring, I did 23 bundles because I filled in more here. The next ring I did 8 and I did every other one. And then I did about 5 or 6 to finish filling in right here in the center. And now I'm going to attach my turkey. I just want to make sure I get his positioning correct so that you don't see the wire frame in the back. Use your pipe cleaners and your floral wire, feed it through the mesh back to the wire frame and attach. When you initially attach, you want to make sure you attach it loosely until you get it in the correct position, and then you can tighten him down. And I have my sign fully attached. Doesn't that look absolutely beautiful? I am very pleased with the end result. I did get him on nice and sturdy. The only addition that I did is I took and did one curl and just kind of put it underneath the sign to give it a little bit of height so that it was a little bit more even on the wreath. But I'm super happy with that. I really do love that color combination. I think it's absolutely perfect for fall and Thanksgiving. And there you go, we are all done. I have my turkey on. I think he looks rather handsome and his feathers are absolutely gorgeous. I really do love that color combination. To get started on today's project, you will need one of these football wreath frames that you can pick up from Dollar Tree. At one end, you'll want to tie on a piece of jute cord. This is what we're going to use to hang the project when we're completed. You will also need a fat quarter from Dollar Tree. Any type of fabric that you choose is fine. You just want something that is kind of in the brown tones that reminds you of fall. And a craft fabric is 18 inches by 21 inches, which is plenty. You could probably get by with just half of this amount. So the first thing that we want to do is measure our fabric. Now this one does have a pattern, and I kind of placed it both ways. I don't really like it going horizontal. I much prefer it going vertical. If your fabric has a pattern on it, just play with it for a little bit and decide which way you'd like that pattern to go. I had a lot of different choices. I decided to go with this one. I was also looking at some really pretty plaids. So keep your mind open when you're looking at your fabric. Then you just want to measure on either side. You need at least a ½ inch of extra fabric on either side, so just kind of measure that. Okay, so it looks like just about 12 inches. And that's perfect. Makes it easy for me because it's right where the pattern is. You want to do the same thing with the length because you don't want too much excess fabric when you start to wrap the base. Now when you start to wrap the fabric, you just want to come up past the center point by about halfway. We'll be covering the top in a different material, and you'll cover the very tip of your fabric to keep it clean. So you want to make sure you leave enough fabric up near the top here for that. Now you want to start to attach it at the widest point to make sure that you have enough fabric on either side. And I just start by adding hot glue right there to the wreath form. Just do small sections at a time. Just be cautious. The hot glue will come through the fabric. Do small sections at a time so that you can make sure you can get that as smooth as possible. You want to try not to get any wrinkles or creases. When you get down to the bottom here, you will have a few creases. That's the only way that you can fold it in, but it will look okay. Just try to get the rest nice and smooth. And do this side and then do this side as you work down. That way you'll have better luck at getting everything attached without any wrinkles. Okay, so to do the very point down here, we're going to want to pull the top part here smooth down, and then it's going to tuck in here on the corners. See? So I'll show you again. To do the center, you want to pull this all the way down like this. So it's nice and smooth. We're going to tack it down right here. Right here. Then on each side, you will need to do a little fold and then wrap it around. Okay? So once you have your fabric folded so it'll lay smooth, then tack it down. You want to do the same thing to the other side. Pull it down till you get that little crease. We will cut all this excess fabric off once we get it tacked down. Okay, now you can go in and start trimming any excess fabric. Now just finish pulling that in and tacking it down. I think that looks fabulous. Next, you're going to need a couple packages of decorative nautical rope. I have the 9.5 feet. Now, when I picked out my fabric, I went over and picked out my rope. They had a couple different shades of rope. This one I thought looked best with the fabric that I chose. So now what we're going to do is wrap the top section here of our acorn in the rope. You want to start a little lower than where your fabric is. We want to make sure that this doesn't fray and that it doesn't show. So that's why we're going to start a little lower. And I'm going to glue it down here in the back, and then I'm just going to wrap all the way around, tacking down as I go. Let's get this guy tacked down. You want to make sure the knot stays in the back, so just add a little bit of hot glue, pull it into place and let it set. So I'm just going to lay down a little bit of hot glue and get this end down here in the back. Once your glue has set up, you can start to wrap. You want to get the first one down nice and even because that's what's going to set the tone for the rest. Once you get to the other side, tack it down. Continue to wrap. You just want to keep that rope nice and snug. Now as you wrap, because you're going from wider to smaller, you're going to need to tack it down in several places on each strand to keep it in place. Otherwise it's all going to want to slide forward. Now I've wrapped my rope all the way up to the top here, and I wanted to show you how to finish it. So we have a small hole left. I cut the end, and what I'm going to do is take this end and glue it right down into that hole. But first we need to close the end. Just add a small dab inside the end. Then grab and twist. Just be careful not to burn yourself. This will seal all those ends together. Put a small amount of hot glue inside. Make sure that you have your hanger out, and then tuck that end in. And that's how you finish the top. Okay, so it took just over 2 packages of the rope. This is how much I have left from the 3rd package. I think that is absolutely adorable. Now we get to decorate. To decorate the top of our acorn, I pulled out a few items. I grabbed this one stem of maple leaves. I really liked those dark colors. I thought they went very well with the color tones in the acorn. And then this is from a Dollar Tree pick. This is what the pick looked like. I already used the pumpkin and the leaves, but I have these two, and I thought they would also add nicely to the top. So you just need to remove the paper at the bottom to separate them, and then we can trim the length however long we need it once we decide where we want to place those. But on these, you want to push your leaves all the way up to the top. Oop. Now it will pop off if it doesn't have a top. Oh, this one has a top, it still popped off. So you need to be careful about that because you don't want to lose your greenery. So if you have one that pops off real easy, just add a little dab of glue and then put it back on. Again, push those leaves up. And then trim. You only want to leave maybe about an inch. Now we're going to be doing the decor up here, and I'm thinking about putting a bow at the very top, but we'll see once I get the other greenery. Once that's down, you're not going to see this strong point at the top, and it'll look wider and more like an acorn once we get our decor here at the top. Now you just need to play with your bundles of leaves. Go in there, flatten them out, make sure they're facing in the direction that you want. Grab them and twist them. They are artificial, so make sure that they're doing what you want them to. So that way, see, I kind of pulled everything forward, I flattened it out. Now I kind of like that, laying down. And I'm just going to glue it right to the rope. Like I said, I'm going to put a bow up here, so that little mess that I'm going to have all my ends will be covered by the bow. I can also fill it in with a little bit of leaf. Feel free to trim up the leaves if you need to, if they don't have the right color tones, and make your own. Like this just has the two light colors. I want one more dark because I'm going to put it on this side. So I have a good base of leaves down. Now I'm going to add my berries and my pine cone. I already trimmed my ends. You just need to decide where you want to put them, how long you want them to come out. I'm thinking I'm going to put this one right here. And I want to put my pine cone kind of coming out. Now remember, you can always bend these, so if you need to bend that to get it to lay right, go ahead and do so. But I like that, so I'm going to glue them in right there. And you just need to take your time and allow that glue to set up. I'm going to add one more leaf right up here at the top to kind of help hide everything, and then my bow will go at the top of that. Now remember, if your leaves aren't laying the way you want, just tack them down. small drop of hot glue does wonders. I think that looks very pretty. We're going to work on the bow now. And I'm going to do a simple hand-tied bow. Measure your tail at 6 inches and pinch. I'm going to measure at another 6 inches and pinch. Measure an additional 6 inches, pinch and bring that to the center. And then measure another 6 inches and cut. Take a pipe cleaner and wrap it around the center. Before you tie it down, just check your loops, make sure they're the same size. If they're not, do whatever adjusting you need to. Pull down tight and twist. Now this ribbon I picked up at Dollar Tree. They're going to have it again this year in their fall section. I like this ribbon. It is their faux burlap ribbon. You can get it in green or orange. Then just play with your bow, open up your loops, pull your tails down. If they don't lay right, you want to go right down to where it's tied, open them up, and pull them until they lay the way you want. I like to hold the center. It makes it easier for me, plus that way I know I'm not going to pull it out. Sometimes you pull too tight or too hard and it comes out. But there's your basic bow. Now just give it a couple twists here on the back and then trim off any excess pipe cleaners. And then push those ends down. Okay, now I want to put my bow right at the top here. I didn't know if I wanted long or short tails. Looks like I'm probably going to go with short tails. I want to be able to see more of this. And then I'm thinking about putting one of these cute little acorns right in the center of my bow. I think they're so cute. They did such a nice job. I think that in the center, and then my bow here. And then I will trim my tails. But let's get this guy glued on first. You want to place that right here at the top. And I'm going to add my little acorn. Okay, I'm going to get my tails trimmed and then I'll come back and show you the finished product. And there you go, we are all done. I think the bow and the acorn were the perfect final addition for my acorn wreath. Now this is a very budget-friendly craft. It'll cost you less than $15 to make this beautiful and unique acorn wreath. To get started on our project today, you're going to need some mesh. I picked this up yesterday at Michael's. It was on sale. It's normally $9.99. I got it on sale for $5.99. It's made by Celebrate It. It is 9.5 inches at 19 feet. Now, I think that's a little expensive, but I was having a hard time finding anything on sale, so I was happy that I found this. And I really do like the texture of it and the thickness. I think it'll be very pretty. You will need 2 rolls for this project. You will also need a working wreath form. If you have not seen me put one of these together, I will put a link in the description box below to a short video that'll show you how to do this. This is made using one of the Dollar Tree frames, 14-inch. We're going to start to attach our mesh, and I like to start here in the center. Now when I lay this out, I always pull the centers facing inward and the ones on the outside facing out. I've opened up my mesh, and to fill in the base here, we're going to do the poof method. Just scrunch the end together, place it in one of the pipe cleaners. Make sure you get that down nice and tight. Give a good twist or two. You will also need something to measure with. Now you want to start to measure where you attached it here onto your wreath form. Just grab it loosely in your hand. You want to measure to 12 inches, pinch. Take where you pinched, move to the next pipe cleaner on the inside, place it in, give a good twist. Then go back to where you attached it and measure again to 12 inches, pinch, and go to the next one. Now you're going to do this all the way around the center till you get back to the pipe cleaner that you started with. Now I'm back where I started from. So what you're going to do is now take it and drop it to the one directly below it that's on the outside. Give that a good twist. And then you're going to do the same thing all the way around the outside. Measure at 12 inches, pinch, and place it into the next pipe cleaner. Now I've gone through and opened up all of my poofs, and all that means is I went in underneath, opened it up. This way you'll get the best coverage to hide the frame in the back. And I really like that. I like this texture and I like the color. Now I have a little bit left on that roll, so we're going to use what's left on this and the other roll to help fill that base in even more. Now if you don't have a rotary cutter, you can use scissors, but you want to make sure they're nice and sharp so you get a clean line. You want to measure your pieces at 12 inches. And for these, we're going to be doing the standard ruffle method. So So, and you lay it down, grab in the center and scrunch right up the center till you get to the end. You have a little bow tie. Then you take that and place that right in the center of the pipe cleaner. Pull the pipe cleaner up and give a good twist. Now when you're placing this into your bundle, you want to make sure that the curl side is down so that those cut ends are down. And then I usually just kind of pick it up, let the ends curl around, and fill in. I'll show you one more time. Take your piece of mesh that's cut at 12 inches. You want to lay it so the curl side is down. Start in the center and scrunch right up the center till you get to the other side. Pinch. So you see it's curling down. That's what you want because you want those cut ends to be down. Go to the next pipe cleaner and place it in. As you're placing your little ruffles, you can twist up your pipe cleaner, trim it down to about 1/2 inch, and then tuck it down to the back. You'll want to do that to each of the pipe cleaners on the inside and the outside, and that will fill in the base of the wreath nicely. I have my base all done and I'm really happy with how it looks. Now I do have 3 pieces left over. This one was just a little short. It was the piece at the very end. And I'm going to add these, but I'm going to wait until I get my sign and my bow on to see where I can fill in to make it a little bit fuller. Now you're going to need some floral wire. This is the one I use. I pick it up from Dollar Tree. It's 26 gauge and you get 100 feet. I really do prefer the silver. I use this on pretty much everything. And then you're also going to need a couple full-length pipe cleaners. This is the sign that I've chosen to use on our wreath today. I really do like it. I found this at the Dollar Tree. I absolutely love the colors. Now they had 2 different ones that were set up like this to choose from. I'm really into the acorns this year, so I chose this one. Now to set up your sign, through the hole here where the hanger was, you want to pull the floral wire, one through the hole and one over the top, and then you twist it together. You need to leave enough that you can attach it to your wreath form. And then depending on how you want to place your sign on your wreath, depends on where you want to place your pipe cleaners. So I laid it out, decided where I wanted it to go, and then I just glued down 3 more pipe cleaners. Now the reason why I like to use a combination of the pipe cleaners that are glued down and floral wire is that hot glue can fail. If it gets too hot or too cold, it can release and your sign will fall off. But if you have the floral wire in conjunction with the hot glue and pipe cleaners, you're guaranteed that your sign will not fall off. So I'm going to be placing my sign. Now I want my sign to go at a slight angle, and that is why I added this extra pipe cleaner here, so that I can easily attach it. And then in this open space, I'm going to place my bow, and then I'll fill in with a few other items around the sign. Now to attach your sign, you want to take your floral wire and the pipe cleaners. Once you have its placement, you just need to move the mesh aside till you get down to your wire frame here in the back, and that's what you want to attach it to. Now you can attach it anywhere on the wire frame that you need to get your sign to sit the way you want it. Now I have my sign on and I'm really happy with its placement. Let's see. So I have it angled the way that I wanted. I like that. We're going to work on the bow next. Now this is the ribbon I've chosen to use on our wreath today. I picked both of these up at Dollar Tree and they have them this year. They are 2.5 inches at 9 feet. I really do like this pattern. I think it's very pretty and very suitable for this wreath. Has that nice burlap background and all those pretty colors of different fall leaves printed on the ribbon. And then this is one of my favorite types of ribbon that Dollar Tree carries. This is their faux burlap. They do carry it in green and in orange for fall. And I like it. It's easy to work with and it holds its shape. You will need to cut 4 pieces at 18 inches in the green and 5 pieces at 18 inches in the burlap with the leaves. I have all my ribbon cut to 18 inches. Now you want to take 1 piece of each color, find the center, pinch that and place it in between the 2 large dowel rods. Now I'm using my Easy Bow Maker today. It really does help me. I have arthritis in my hands and sometimes I'm unable to hold things. So this helps me out quite a bit. Then you want to take another piece of your pattern ribbon, and then in the back you want to fold the ends over themselves by about 1 inch. Find your center, pinch. Now the folded ends, the cut ends are down. You place that in. Now you're going to do that with each piece and you're just going to alternate between your green and your beige. You'll need 1 full-length pipe cleaner. Slide that down underneath until you get it right up next to the center. I like to pull them together. This helps me lift it out and keep everything properly stacked. Now pull nice and tight and pull it to the back. Give it a good twist. Pull down your tails. And go through and open up and separate out your bow. I have another piece of the leaf ribbon. I'm going to use this to cover the center here. And I'm going to tri-fold this in. Use just a little bit of hot glue to help keep it together on either end. Then we're going to start here in the back. You want to open up your pipe cleaners and we're going to glue one end down right in the center there over the pipe cleaners. Then just wrap that around the center. Pull it to the back. Decide how tight you want it. Then once you're happy, glue it down and trim off any excess ribbon. Now these pipe cleaners are way too short to put that on my wreath. So I'm going to add another pipe cleaner. I just put it in the center, twist the short ones a couple times, and then I take the short one and wrap it around one of the long ones. Now I have plenty of pipe cleaner to be able to attach this to my wreath. Now I will do more fluffing and I will trim my ends once I get this on my wreath. I got my bow on, and you attach it the same way you did the sign. You take the pipe cleaners, feed it through the deco mesh, and attach it to the wire frame in the back. Now I like my tails here spread out to make sure that they don't fall and cover the sign. I did tack them down with just a little dab of hot glue on both sides so that they'll stay open. Now I'm really happy with this so far. I think it looks absolutely adorable, but it needs a little something more. To finish it off, I'm going to add a couple of these picks that I picked up from Dollar Tree. I really like this one. It has the acorn on it and some raffia. I think that's really pretty. I have 2 of these. And then I also like this one with the gourd. I like the green gourd. It brings out the little bit of green in the sign and matches the ribbon. And I have 3 of these. And then I also have some acorns from Dollar Tree that I picked up. I'm probably going to add some of these as well. Now before you glue these in, you just want to play with the placement to decide exactly where you would like to put them. You can just take them and kind of stick them into the wreath. Until you find where you want them. And then just add some hot glue onto the stem and glue them in. Once you find their placement, just put a decent amount of glue so it can glue, if you're going to tuck it behind the sign, to the sign and to the deco mesh. I'm going to get the rest of my embellishments glued in, and then I'll come back and show you the finished product. And there you go, we are all done. I'm really happy with the end result. I absolutely love all the gourds and the acorns added. I think it adds so much to the wreath. And I really love this sign. I absolutely love the dark background. It really makes it pop on the wreath. To get started for this project, you are going to need one of these square wreath forms that you can pick up from Dollar Tree. Now, when I was going through my square wreath forms, I found out that they carry 2 different sizes of these square wreath forms. The one that I'm going to be using today is by Floral Garden, and this is their 14-inch wreath form that is square. I also picked this one up. And this one was a closeout from Walmart, and this one is 16 inches. You can use this one as well, but if you're going to use the larger frame, you're going to need more mesh than what I'm using on the smaller frame. So just keep that in mind if you choose to use the larger square frame. You will also need 2 rolls of this 6-inch natural colored mesh. I picked this up from Hobby Lobby. 2 rolls of this. It is 5.5 inches by 10 yards. You will also need 2 rolls of each of these 2 colors that you can pick up from Dollar Tree. Now both of these colors come in their regular everyday decorative mesh that they now carry. And they are 6 inches by 5 yards, so you'll need 2 in the blue and 2 in the white. I've unwrapped all of my mesh. I like to layer my mesh when I cut it. It makes it much easier. Plus, I get 3 cuts every time I do it, so that makes it go much faster. You'll want to cut your deco mesh into strips of 12 inches. Today we're going to be doing the folded ruffle method. I really do like this method. Even though it is a cut method, you get little to no fraying on your wreath. And I also really love the texture that it gives the wreath base. Now you don't have to use a rotary cutter if you don't have one. You can always use scissors, but I picked this one up from Dollar Tree. It was only $1.25. They are very good quality. They last me 6 to 8 months before I have to change it out. So I think that's a really good deal. You can't even buy replacement blades for like a Fiskars for that price. These are what your little bundles are going to look like. I think they look like a little butterfly. Now to make your folded ruffle bundles, you take your cut ends and you fold them over themselves by about 1 inch. You push down, take one end to scrunch up to the center, then take the top and scrunch down. Pinch right in the center. Wrap your pipe cleaner around. Now your cut ends are here on the top. That's going to be the back. Pinch and twist. And then just open up your bundle. Sometimes you get little pieces that come off, just throw them away. It's not going to fray because all of your cut ends are scrunched in and folded in the back. And that is what your little bundle looks like. I'll show you one more time. You have your piece of deco mesh cut at 12 inches. Fold it over the ends so it covers itself by about 1 inch. Fold down. Scrunch from one end to the center, then scrunch from the other end to the center and pinch. And wrap with your pipe cleaner, making sure that the ends are facing up because that's your bottom, your back. Pinch nice and tight and twist. And there you go. If you need to adjust it, you can always adjust it before you attach. Just kind of pull till it looks even for you. Once it goes into the wreath, both sides will be pushed up. That's what gives you that smoother, kind of bubbly texture. Now to attach our bundles to our wreath form, we're going to be attaching them to the 2 bars on the outside of the wreath. And the reasoning for that is because of the size of our sign. If you lay the sign down inside, you can see it completely covers that inner ring. And that's why we're going to be attaching it to the center and outside rings of the wreath. Now on a straight section here, and a section is between the 2 crossbars, it'll take about 6 bundles. On the corners here, it will take 11 bundles. You will put 10 bundles through the corner on the outside, and then you put 1 bundle right here between the center bar and the inner bar. That fills up this little corner. Otherwise, you can tell that it just needs 1 more. So by attaching 1 there in the corner, it fills it in and makes it look nice and even all the way around the wreath. So take your bundles. Wrap your pipe cleaner around the inner bar and the outer bar. Pull it together and just give it a twist or 2. Then I like to pull my pipe cleaners together and I push them forward. That way it keeps the back of my wreath looking nice and clean, and you will not be able to see them from the front. Now the pattern that I've done is 1 neutral, 1 white, 1 neutral, 1 blue, 1 neutral, 1 white, and just keep repeating. That gives it a nice mix. I didn't want too much blue or too much white, so you have 1/4 white, 1/4 blue, and half natural. Now when you place your bundles, you want to grab both sides and pull them up and then slide over. And then sometimes I like to pull one side of the bundle to one side and one to the other. This kind of just helps widen that space. And that is what it will look like. You just continue that pattern all the way around the wreath. I will continue working on the base. Once I get a couple sections finished, I will come back and show you my progress. I have completed half of my wreath. I am very pleased with how it's coming out. I really like the color combination, and I really like that textural feel that the folded ruffle gives your wreath. Now here on the back, you can see I have attached it to the 2 bars on the outside, and I have put one here from the center bar to the inside. Now as you can see here in the corner, that is nice and filled in. Just adding that one extra bundle did the trick. And there you go, I have my base all done. And here on the back you can see how clean it looks by tucking your pipe cleaners, and then I did add one in each corner here to help fill in, and I used that neutral color. I'm very happy with that. Now I did have mesh left over from my second rolls, so that's good. I can always do a small wreath using the same color combination. I really like this color combination. Perfect for this wreath, would be great for a coastal wreath, or even one for Christmas for non-traditional colors. We're going to attach our sign now. To prep your sign, I pulled 2 10-inch lengths of floral wire, one over the top, one through the hole, and twisted it in the back on both holes here at the top where the jute cord was. I also glued on 2 full-length pipe cleaners, made sure that they were fully dry, so it is now ready to attach. Now I like my signs to sit right up on top of my wreath. That is such a beautiful sign. I want to make sure that I see all of that beautiful florals, greenery, and pumpkins. To attach this, you simply take your pipe cleaners and your floral wire, you move the mesh to the side, and you attach it to the wire frame in the back. I have my sign on. It's nice and secure. It's not going to go anywhere. In the back here, once you get it on, you want to take those ends and push them forward, especially the wire. You don't want that to scratch your door, so just push it forward so it's down inside the mesh. Same thing with the pipe cleaners. Next, you're going to need some of these really cute sweater pumpkin picks that you can pick up from Dollar Tree. I did pick up 2 in the blue and 3 in this off-white to go on this wreath. They come on a dowel rod. Now I'm going to use my wire cutters and I'm going to cut that dowel rod. I only need about 1.5 to 2 inches. Just squeeze and then rotate and squeeze again, and it'll come off. You will also need a package of burlap leaves. They come 5 pieces to a pack. This is the one that I've chosen. This is the smaller. This looks more like the type of leaves here that are in the sign. And they do come on a piece of wire, which is great because you can bend them and shape them. And it also gives you an area to add glue to glue them into the wreath. I have all my pumpkins prepared, so now I'm just going to work on placement. Just stick them into the wreath, kind of where you think you want to place them. Now I kind of like that. And then what I'm planning on doing is going in with my leaves and adding just a few leaves around the pumpkins. And then at the top here, I'm planning on putting a nice big bow. So that's going to take care of this area. That's why I'm focusing all of my pumpkins and my leaves down here near the bottom. Well, I'm happy with the placement there of those pumpkins, so I'm going to start gluing these in. Now that I have my pumpkins in, I'm going to go in and glue in some leaves. Now remember, you can bend them and shape them however you want. Just going to be nestling them in around the pumpkins. For your convenience, in the description box below is a detailed list of all the tools and materials I used to make this beautiful fall blessing wreath. Now my last one came off the stem here, so I'm just going to glue that back onto the leaf. I am really happy with my pumpkins and my burlap leaves. I think they look absolutely gorgeous. We're going to start to work on our bow now. You will need 2 full-length pipe cleaners. Now this ribbon is 2.5 inches. It is wired edge. I really love all those different shades of blue. I thought it would go with the wreath very nicely. And this is Robert Stanley collection. Unfortunately, I don't know where I got this. It's been in my collection for a long time. This one I picked up from craftoutlet.com, and it is a white glittery ribbon. It's 1.5 inches. It is a wired edge. There's the number. And then I'm also going to be using this one. This is a 2.5 inch burlap ribbon. I picked this up at Michael's after Christmas. Nice big roll. We're going to start with the burlap ribbon. You want to measure your tail at 8 inches, pinch, and slide down between the 2 large dowel rods. Now if your ribbon is only nice on one side, you will want to twist it when you come through. If it's nice on both sides, you don't have to twist. Sometimes I like to just do it because it makes it easier when I go to fluff my bow. Now with this ribbon, we're going to be doing 3 loops on each side at 5 inches. Once you have your 3 loops on either side, you can trim your tail at 8 inches. Next, I'm going to move to this really pretty blue and white ribbon. Again, I'm going to measure my tail at 8 inches. Now this ribbon is only nice on one side, so I do need to twist it. When I come through, on your tails, the nice side should be facing up. When you do your loops and you come through, the nice side should be facing down. I'm going to make 2 loops on either side at 4 inches. And now we're going to the white glittery ribbon, 8 inches on the tail. And I'll be making 2 loops on either side at 3 inches. Now, while you have your bow in your bow maker, you want to go ahead and kind of play with your bow. I like to pull all my tails down and then adjust my loops. This way I can see what it's going to look like before I tie it all together. If I need to make any adjustments, now is the time to do it. So on my first layer here, I have 3 loops, so I'm going to open those up. And then I have 2. I'll separate those as well. And then I have another 2 with a smaller ribbon. This way you can check, make sure it looks like it's even, that you didn't miss a loop. Now I want to put a center loop here. So I'm going to take my white ribbon and I'm just going to fold it into a little loop here. You want it to cover itself by at least 1 inch. Decide how big or small you want your center little loop to be. Once you've decided, go ahead and trim. I just put a little clip to hold my center loop there. Then you'll want to take one of your pipe cleaners. I like to slide it down underneath into the center here. I pull it up on both sides and pinch it together so I can lift out my bow. This helps me keep it stacked properly. And then I take those, cross them in the front. Let's put our little loop on here first. Get it on there. So you just run the pipe cleaners through your center loop there. Pull it to the back. Pull nice and snug. And twist. I always like to hold it in the center there and then kind of pull down the tails. Just kind of open up your loops. I'm not going to do any fluffing right now until I get it onto my wreath. I just want to make sure that everything looks right. If I need to make any adjusting, now is the time. And take your time when you fluff your bows. That is the hardest part about bow making, is the fluffing. So just take your time. If your bow doesn't, or your loop doesn't want to lay right, go all the way down to where it comes out. Open it up and adjust it until it lays the way you want it to. Now here on the back, my pipe cleaners are not long enough for me to use them to attach it to my wreath. So I'm going to add another pipe cleaner. Just place that in the center, give it a twist or two, and then I take one of the short pieces and wrap it around one of the long. Then I take the other one and wrap it around the other side. Like that. Now my pipe cleaner is long enough and I can easily attach it to my wreath. Now another trick I like to do is here on the back before I attach my bow is I twist those pipe cleaners together for about 2 to 3 inches depending on the depth of my wreath. Like that. That way my bow is not going to sink down inside my wreath when I attach it. This will be inside the deco mesh, you're not going to see it, but that will allow my bow to sit right up on top. Now I want to put my bow right up on the top in the middle here, and then I'm going to fan out my tails so that I can see my fall blessings. To attach this, I'm simply going to take my pipe cleaners and feed it through the deco mesh to the back and attach it to the wire frame. There you go, I have my bow on. I'm very pleased with how it turned out. I did trim these tails a little bit shorter. I angled these and dovetailed these. I also dovetailed my burlap. I really like that. I kind of pulled those out to the side. I wanted to make sure that I could read the saying on my wreath. To get started on today's project, you will need one of these new leaf wreath forms that you can pick up from the Dollar Tree. You're also going to need one roll of tulle. I've chosen to use this one, which is a really pretty gold glittered tulle. They have several different ones to choose from. Now it's going to take about 3 strips to cover the leaf. So you need to cut 3 pieces that are wide enough to cover the wreath form. So even a partial roll of tulle will work. Now when you attach the tulle to your wreath frame, you want to make sure that the wires that are attached are facing up. You want the flat side of your wreath to be facing down. I'm going to start up here at the top. So just go through and add a small bead of hot glue and doing small sections at a time right onto the frame. Then lay your tulle over. For projects like this, a silicone tulle works very well. I picked this one up at the Dollar Tree, but any 100% silicone tulle will work. That will allow you to press it down so that the hot glue attaches and you won't burn yourself. Then just slowly work around the outside of the frame and attach your tulle. Now if you don't get it down smooth or flat, just lift it up and reattach till you get it laying smoothly. So I have my first piece of tulle attached. Now I'm simply going to take my scissors and go through and trim off any excess. Just get it as close to the frame as you can. Now I have my first piece on and trimmed out. Now I'm just going to move down and add my second piece. You just want to line that up as best you can. You don't really want to overlap it because you'll be able to see it. So just get it as close to the other one as you can. Tack it down the same way and trim it out. I have all three pieces of my tulle attached and trimmed out. I'm very happy with that. I like the look. I also went back here at the tip, lifted up the tulle just a little bit so I could put a hanger, and then glued the tulle back down. Now you're going to need some jute cord. Dollar Tree carries 2-ply and 3-ply. You want to try to get the 3-ply. It's a little bit thicker than the 2-ply. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap right here this stem. Start in the back here and wrap the whole stem with your jute. Just add a little bit of glue on the back here to get it started. As you get to the top, you're going to need to add a little bit more glue to tack it down so it doesn't slide off as you're wrapping. And once you get to the top, go ahead and wrap back down. This way you can cover anything that you might have missed. And it makes it a little bit thicker. Once you're happy with it, just tack it down in the back. Now I really like the shape and the way that they made this wreath frame, and I really want to show that part off. So now I'm going to go over all of the little veins here and cover them with the jute cord. I'm going to start up at the top here, and again just do a small section at a time. And I'm going to go right down the center, then I will do the ones that come off the center, and then I'm going to go around the outside. So this is not difficult, but it is time consuming. You just need to have a steady hand and patience. I have my leaf base done. I have it all trimmed out in the jute cord with the gold glittered tulle. I think it looks absolutely fabulous. Next, you will need one of the fall picks that you can pick up from Dollar Tree. They have several different ones to choose from. This is the one that I'm going to be using today. I also pulled out some pieces of fall leaves that are in complementary colors to the pick I've chosen. We're going to be using these to decorate our leaf form. Now my pick is going to be my main presentation on that. I just want to add a little bit more leaves around it. It doesn't have enough for me. So I've cut one stem long, and then the rest I've cut at about 2 to 3 inches. This longer one is going to help me in the back here. So I have a little bit more berries and some more leaves in the back. And then let's see which one's there. So I like that, and then I think I'm also going to add even another one back here. I need more leaves on this. I'm just not happy with the amount of leaves that came. But my main is going to be my pick here, and I'm going to glue it right up inside here, the end. I just need to decide how far down I want this pick to come. Thinking about there, and then you want to leave about 1 inch to glue in underneath, and then anything past that you trim off. Now these are wrapped. It'll take you a little bit of time to get through that because you're cutting through about 3 or 4 different things at a time, so just keep turning it and squeezing until you're able to get through. So I took about that much off the bottom. Now before I glue that in, I want to add some to the back here. And take a little bit of hot glue, place it in between there, and stick in some leaves. Just make sure the leaves are facing the correct direction forward. Have it glued in there. Figure out where you want the others. And then I'm going to glue them to the stem here as well. Because I wrapped the base in tulle, there's not a lot to glue onto, so you want to make sure that you attach as much as you can to the stem before you place it on. Once you have the leaves in the background down and on your pick, add a good amount of hot glue to the last inch of your pick here. And then slide it up in between the rope there. And you can kind of play with your leaves and everything. Adjust it until you're happy with how it looks. I'm going to be adding some more leaves up here to hide this part, and then we'll be adding a bow. So with this, I'm going to add some hot glue to the stem and place it up inside the rope. Okay, and then just play with your arrangement. If you need to add more leaves, or if you want to use 2 picks instead of 1, however you want and however much you want to add. We're going to work on the bow now. This is the ribbon that I've chosen. You'll also need half a pipe cleaner. Cut a piece of your ribbon to 20 inches. Fold your ribbon in half to find the center. Pinch the center. Grab one end about 3 or 4 inches from the end. Pinch and pull to the center. Do the same thing on the other side. Wrap your pipe cleaner around the center. Pull to the back and give a good twist. Open up your loops and pull down your tails. Now take your time when you're fluffing your bow. This is the hardest part of bow making, is fluffing of your bow. Now I want to cover the center here of my bow. Cut a piece of ribbon approximately 3 inches in length, and then we're going to tri-fold it and wrap it around the center of the bow. Open up your pipe cleaners in the back. We're going to glue it down over the pipe cleaners. Add a dab of hot glue and wrap the ribbon around the center. You need to decide how tight or loose you want the center to be wrapped. Play with it for a little while until you're happy. Then glue it down in the back and trim off any excess ribbon. Make sure to leave your pipe cleaners on, as we're going to be using those to attach it to the wreath form. Now I want to add a little bit of a dovetail to my ends. So I'm simply going to fold them in half and cut at an angle. We'll be attaching the bow here at the base of the stem. Simply wrap the pipe cleaners around to the back, twist to tighten down. Then you want to take the ends and tuck it down behind the jute cord. Now that I have the bow on, I have this little bit of open space that I need to fill in. I'm just going to add a little bit more leaf and berries to fill it in. I think that looks much better. And there you go. We are all done. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think it looks absolutely adorable. Something very different and unique. To get started on today's craft, you'll need one of the small 8-inch wreath forms that you can get from Dollar Tree. They're made by Floral Garden, and you get 2 in a package. You're also going to need some deco mesh. This one I picked up from Hobby Lobby. This is their poly burlap 6-inch jute colored mesh. And then you'll need 1 roll of the light blue and 1 roll of white. I had this left over, all 3 of these from a previous project, my Fall Blessings wreath. You'll want to cut your mesh into strips of 12 inches. You'll need some pipe cleaners cut in half. And I always like to use a little clip to help me. We're going to be doing the cruffle method today. I really do like this method. It has very low fraying. Works great with Dollar Tree deco mesh. So you lay out your strip that's cut at 12 inches. You start at one end. You want to do a roll or 2. Take your little clip and clip it. Turn it around. Do the same thing to the other end. Do a nice even roll or 2. Then you want to grab right in the center and scrunch up to the other side. And that is your little cruffle. Take your pipe cleaner, wrap it around that center. I always like to pull it down so I can get a nice grip. Pinch and give a good twist. And that is your little bundle. I will show you again. Take your piece of 12-inch mesh, start at one end, do 1 to 2 rolls, clip, turn it around, do the same thing at the other end, grab in the center and then scrunch up like you would on a cruffle or ruffle, pinch, wrap your pipe cleaner around the center, pull it to the back, pinch and twist. Now to attach our bundles to our wreath, we're going to be attaching it to the center bar and the bar on the outer side. And in between each of the crossbars, you will need a total of 13 bundles. And 1 roll of each of the mesh will be sufficient to get that. So just wrap your pipe cleaners around, pull it to the back, give it a nice twist or two. And then on this size wreath, I usually trim my pipe cleaners a little bit and then push them forward. This keeps the back of my wreath looking nice and clean. And I'm just going to alternate. I'll do blue, beige, white, blue, beige, white, and just continue that pattern all the way around the wreath. And that's what your little cruffles look like. I have the base all done. I think it came out absolutely beautiful. I'm very happy with it. Now I did put 13 in the first 2 sections, and then I only needed 11 in the 3rd section. And it filled it out very nicely. I so love this color combination. Now there are a couple different sign options. I originally picked this up to go on the wreath, but I've changed my mind since then. But you can use this one. I think it has the right color tones and I think it looks beautiful. And just attach your pipe cleaners on the back to attach it to the wreath. But then I also found this one that says grateful. And then this one that says thankful, and this is the one that I'm going to use today. I think that looks gorgeous on that colored background. Now the signs came on these, which are galvanized pumpkin garden stakes. They were just hot glued on, so they're very easy to pop off. I'm going to be using the remnants here in another project. But they had either grateful or thankful. Either of these will work, so whichever one you can find in your store. And if you can't find these, then this box sign will work just fine. To get your sign ready, you want to hot glue a couple pipe cleaners onto the back. You want to make sure that glue fully sets up before you attach it to your wreath. We're going to work on the bow now. And I'm going to be using this mesh tubing. This is the jute colored mesh tubing. I like the texture on this, and it's the right color tone for what I'm looking for. And this is really easy to make a bow with. So I'm going to measure my tail at 4 inches. And then I'm going to measure 3 loops on either side at 4 inches. Once you have your loops, measure out your tail at 4 inches. You will need a full-length pipe cleaner. I just like to slide it down on one side and then lift up. That allows me to lift out my bow and it keeps it nice and stacked properly. Pull my pipe cleaners to the back. Make sure I'm in the center, pinch and give a good twist. Then just play with your loops until you're happy with how they're laying. Here in the back, you want to open up those pipe cleaners. Go ahead and cut a small piece. We're going to wrap the center so you don't see the pipe cleaner. Add a little dab of hot glue. Place your end in. Just be careful, it is porous, so the hot glue will come through. Then you want to wrap that around the center so you can hide your pipe cleaner. And glue it down in the back. Once the glue is set, you can trim off any excess. And there you go. You have a simple mesh tubing bow. So let's get our sign and our bow on. Now I like my signs to sit right up on top of the mesh in the center for the most part, and that's where I'm going to put that. And to attach it, you just take your pipe cleaners, you move the mesh aside, and you attach it to the wire frame down there in the back. It doesn't matter where on the wire frame you attach it, just as long as the sign sits the way you want it to. I think that looks good. Now I'm going to place my bow. And this time I want my bow right up on the top in the center. Same thing, take those pipe cleaners, feed it down through the mesh, and attach it to the frame in the back. Now the last thing that I'm going to add to this wreath are these, and they are a 3-pack of the small sweater pumpkins. I absolutely love the blue color, and it goes perfect with this wreath. Now they do come on clips. I don't normally use those clips. I like to pull it off and hot glue it on. But I'm not going to do that because I don't want to ruin the sweater. I'm just going to clip it on and hot glue it on because it doesn't want to just pop off like the others. But I absolutely love these. They had larger ones on picks that I used on my larger wreath, but I thought these were absolutely gorgeous. So just work with your placement, decide where you want to place them. They also have them in this really pretty cream color. I might add 1 or 2 of those as well. I'm going to get my pumpkins glued in, and then I'll come back and show you the finished product. And there you go. I have all my pumpkins glued in. I'm really happy with their placement. Now I did hang this up on the wall and then clip in the pumpkins. Stand back and look at it. Adjust the pumpkins until you're happy and then glue them in. But I absolutely love this color combination, and I think this sign goes so well with this size of a wreath. For today's craft, you're going to need one of the 14-inch wired wreath forms that you can pick up from Dollar Tree. You're also going to need 6 packages of their decorative mesh. I'm going to be using this one today, which is kind of like a cream and a red buffalo check. I really do like it. It's not a true red. I like it because it's kind of washed. Makes it a little bit more rustic. And each of these are 6 inches by 5 yards, and you will need a total of 6 packages. You also need a package of pipe cleaners cut in half. You'll need to take a couple out and leave them full length for the sign. I have my wreath and my pipe cleaners and my meshes all open. Now we're going to be doing the poof method for the base. And when I use the buffalo check or striped mesh, I really do like this method. I think it looks very pretty and you can really see those designs. So take the ends, scrunch them together, place them side by side. Add a pipe cleaner. I always like to pull it down so I can get a good grip. Pinch right at the base and give a good twist or two. We're going to take these two pipe cleaners and we're going to attach it right here at the crossbar on the two bars here on the center. We're going to be placing all of our poofs right here on the two bars in the center. And between the two crossbars is a section, and in each section you're going to be placing 10 poofs. So to get this attached, place it around those two bars here at the crossbar that are in the center. Pull to the back and give a good twist. Then pull those ends back through your pipe cleaners. And then give another good twist. Push the pipe cleaners down so they face forward and trim any excess mesh. You need to leave at least 1/2 inch so it doesn't pull through. We're going to be measuring our poofs at 8 inches, and you want to start to measure wherever you attached it onto the wreath form. Just pull both pieces at the same time. You don't want to pull too tight, just gently pull. Measure at 8 inches and pinch. Take your pipe cleaner, wrap it around, pull it tight and give a twist or two. Then you're going to take those pipe cleaners and you put them on either side of the two bars in the center. Pull to the back and give a good twist. Then pull your pipe cleaners together. And you want to take those pipe cleaners and push them forward. And then you can push your poof over. Continue to measure your poofs at 8 inches. Attach your pipe cleaner and then attach to the two bars in the center on your wreath form. 2 rolls of the deco mesh should cover 2 sections of your wreath. I have my base all done, and I went through and just pulled apart and separated all of the loops to make sure that I got as full and as thick as I possibly could. I'm very happy with the end result. I really do like this technique when using Dollar Tree deco mesh because you get a really beautiful base and you get little to no fraying because you're not cutting the mesh. You can also use 3 rolls of deco mesh at the same time when doing the base, which works really well when you want to use 3 different colors, say for the 4th of July. But I'm really happy with the end result. Our base is finished. Go ahead and set this aside. This is the sign that I've chosen to use today. I did pick this up at Dollar Tree. I really liked that dark background again, and I liked the color tones. I think it stands out very nice on the base that I chose for this wreath. Now to prep this to go onto your wreath, you want to glue on a full-length pipe cleaner on either corner on the bottom. And then here at the top where the jute cord was to hang your sign, you want to remove that and put in some floral wire. I pull one through the hole and one over the top, give it a couple twists, and then you just need to leave it long enough that you can attach it to your wreath. And you want to do that on both sides. so that you can get your sign attached to your wreath and get it nice and secure. Now I'm going to place my sign right on the top in the center of my wreath. I really do like most of my signs here. I like them to stand out. And then to attach these, you just take your pipe cleaners and your floral wire. You separate the deco mesh until you can get down to the wreath form in the back, the wire frame, and you attach your floral wire and your pipe cleaners to the wire frame. Now you can attach it anywhere on the wire frame that you need to get your sign to sit in the proper position on your wreath. I have my sign fully attached. It's nice and secure. It's not going to go anywhere. And here on the back, you want to just make sure that wherever the wire is and wherever the pipe cleaners are, that you have trimmed them and pushed them forward so there's nothing sharp on the back of your wreath. I also went ahead and added half a pipe cleaner here with a little loop so that I can hang it. I made sure that one of the crossbars was in the center when I attached my sign. I always like to attach my hanger to a crossbar if I can. We're going to work on the bow now. I pulled out 3 ribbons. This one I got from Michael's. One of my subscribers that's in my Facebook group shared a project where she used this ribbon, and I thought it was absolutely gorgeous. So I had to go in and get some. Isn't that pretty? Now this is their 1.5 inch at 25 feet, and it is 100% polyester. They did have another one that was very similar to this that was the 2.5 inches, so you could choose either. And then this one I got from Dollar Tree this year. I really do like this. It's that burlap background, but I really love the color of all the fall leaves that are printed on it. I think this will really tie into the base very well. And then I picked this ribbon up from Craft Outlet. Now this is an ivory color. See? And here is the number. And this is 1.5 inches at 10 yards. Now I have some of the same ribbon in a pure white that's glitter, and I absolutely love it. This ribbon will do exactly what you want it to do, and I did pick this up from craftoutlet.com. I'm going to be using my Deluxe Easy Bow Maker today. This really does help me out. I have arthritis in my hands, and some days they just don't want to work. So this really helps. It holds everything for me, so I don't have to worry about doing that with my hands. We're going to start off with this ribbon that I picked up from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to start with an 8-inch tail. So measure to 8 inches and pinch. You want to slide that down in between the 2 large dowel rods. And then when you come through, you want to do a twist because the nice side of your ribbon needs to be facing down. On your tails, the nice side should be facing up. But once you start to do your loops, you want the nice side of that ribbon to face down. And I'm going to do 3 loops on either side at 5 inches with this ribbon. Once you have your 3 loops on either side, measure out your tail at 8 inches and trim. Now another thing that I really like about the Easy Bow Maker is that while your ribbon is in here before you tie it down, you can pull it and place it how you're going to want it to see if everything looks the way that you think it's supposed to look, to make sure that your loops are the length that you need them to be. So you can do any adjusting while it's right here in the Bow Maker. And now I'm going to move to this one, the ivory ribbon, glitter ribbon, and I'm going to measure again at 8 inches, pinch and twist. Now if you happen to have ribbon that is perfect on both sides, you do not have to twist when you come through, but most ribbon has a good side and a not so good side. And then on these loops we're going to measure at 4 inches, and I'm going to do 3 loops on either side at 4 inches. And now we're going to move to this ribbon. Now I'm going to do this ribbon a little bit differently because of the pattern. I want that pattern to stay facing in this direction the whole time I do the bow. So the first thing that I want to do is measure out a piece that is 16 inches. This is going to be my tails. That's the equivalent of 8 inches on either side. Find your center. And then pinch, place that in. Those are your tails. And then we're going to measure 2 more pieces at about 12.5 inches. Let's make it 13 inches. So 2 more pieces at 13 inches. You're going to pull it together, the 2 ends, and then you're going to overlap them by 1 inch. Push it down till you find the center. Scrunch in the center. You want to make sure the cut ends are on the bottom, and then slide that in. You're going to do the same thing to the next piece. Make sure that it covers itself by about 1 inch. Push it down till you find the center. Scrunch in the center. Make sure the cut ends are down. Place it in the middle. Then let's cut 1 more piece at about 5 inches. Set that aside. Then you want to take a full length pipe cleaner and slide it down on one side. Lift up the tails and then lift it up. This will help you get it out and keep it properly stacked. And then lift out. Pull that nice and tight and give a twist. Okay. Then you want to take your piece of ribbon that you cut at 5 inches. This is going to be your little center bump. So you want to put it in a little roll, make sure those ends cover themselves. So run your pipe cleaner through one side. And then the other one through the other side. Pull that nice and tight. Make sure the ribbon is still in there. Pull it to the back. Get it nice and tight and give it a good twist. Okay, so my pipe cleaners are too short, so you're going to need a second one. I just place that in the center, pull the short ones and give them a good twist. And then I take one of the short ones and I wrap it around the base of one of the long ones. Same thing on the other side. Now I have plenty of pipe cleaner to attach this to my wreath. I also like to give both of them a twist together for about an inch or two. It just helps it to sit better in the wreath and doesn't pull down inside the mesh. Just like that. Okay, then you just want to kind of fluff out your bow. I usually pull and kind of separate everything first. Pull down my tails. Now I like to cut my tails once I get my bow on my wreath. Because a lot of times I'll change my mind. Sometimes I think I want them short and then I get it on there and I'm like, no, I like them long. So I just wait until I get my bow onto my wreath before I cut them. Okay, so just go through, open up, and kind of fluff out all your loops. So I want to attach my bow now. And I want to keep as much of this wording open and available to see. So I want to put my bow over here. And then I kind of like to spread out my tails. And this is why I don't like to cut them until I get them on here, because then I can decide how long I want them. Do I want them all the same length? Do I want to change and maybe go long to shorter? But that's approximately where I'm going to place it. Now to place your bow, you just move your deco mesh to the side until you can get down to the wire frame, and you attach it to the wire frame. I have my bow on. I'm really happy with it. I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. So I'm very pleased with that. Now we're going to add a little bit more decor to this wreath. Now I went through the pumpkins that I have and I pulled out a couple small pumpkins. I really do like these color tones mixed in with the sign and the background. I really do like this one. I think it will pull the background and the sign together very well. And then I like this one because it matches that pumpkin. It pulls out those same oranges. And then I like this one because it helps to pull out the pumpkin spice. So I'm going to be using these 3 pumpkins, and I'm just going to glue them kind of around this corner here. And I'm going to use my hot glue. So I want to start with this one because I want this one right about here. In fact, I might even glue him partially to the sign. I want him a little bit forward. So yeah, I think I'm going to probably glue him more right to the sign. But I want to make sure I get the angle correct. So to do that, I'm going to trim off some of the pumpkin here. so that it sits a little bit better for me, because I want to attach it right on the corner here. Now to do that, I'm going to be using my utility knife, which I did pick up at Dollar Tree. And I just want to look at the angle that I want this to sit at. And that'll give me a little bit of an idea of where to cut. Okay, so now I have a flat side. I want that to kind of angle down a little bit. So I'm going to cut a little bit more, and I'm going to cut kind of down at an angle. So just play with it, trim a little bit at a time until you get it where you like it. Okay, so I just cleared out a little stripe here because that's where the edge of my sign is. So that way I can glue it right there, and then I get the angle for my pumpkin. So see, that way that my pumpkin will sit at an angle, and that's what I'm looking for. Get a good amount of hot glue on there, and then place your pumpkin. Now see, I like that. That's a much better angle than either straight out or straight up. Very nice. So this one I'm going to glue right onto the mesh a little below the sign. And this one I want to place kind of up here, and I'm going to put a cut in here so I can slide it right onto part of the sign. So I just cut a little piece out. That way I can slide it right onto the side of the sign. And then just go as deep as you need to make it sit where you want it. Okay, I like that. Just add a little bit of hot glue underneath where the mesh is so it'll glue to the mesh as well. I do like that. I'm very happy with the placement of those. Next, you'll need a package of the burlap leaves that you can pick up at Dollar Tree. They have a couple different shapes to choose from. They have this one, and then they have another one that is larger. They also have several different colors that you can choose from. But I'm going to go with the neutral here. And I liked the smaller leaf. Now sometimes these come off the burlap. If you have a batch that easily comes off, make sure to glue those on before you try to put them onto your wreath. I do like these because you can bend them and shape them however you want them. And I want to add a couple here in between my pumpkins. So I'm going to use my little wire stem here and glue it in underneath the sign so that I can pull them in just like that. And then you, like I said, you can shape them to lay however you want them to. Now whenever you tuck anything behind your sign, you want to make sure you put glue on both sides so it not only glues to the sign, but also to the deco mesh. And then just tuck it in until you get it placed. If you need to add a dab of hot glue, go ahead. I'm going to place some, yeah, and then maybe one kind of up here or coming out of the side. Yeah, see, like this one just popped off. So if that happens, just add a little bit of hot glue right onto the stem part and push it back down. Just be cautious because the hot glue will come through. I really like that. Very, very pretty. Now we're going to work on this corner a little bit. I grabbed a handful of acorns. You can pick these up at Dollar Tree. One package will be sufficient. I want to add a few here, and I'm also going to add a few over here on this side as well to fill in. And I also pulled out a couple of gourds that I had in my stash. I thought I might add one or two of these, but I'm going to wait till I get the other items in and see if it still needs something. And then my other two leaves, I'm going to place them over here on this side. I think I'm going to place these first. And now I'm just going to attach some of the acorns here to the sign. Give it a little bit more of a three-dimensional look. And now I'm just going to take some of the acorns and I'm going to glue just a few around in the open spaces on the wreath to kind of help fill in and add a little bit more something something. And here you go, we are all done. I'm really happy with the end results. I got all of my embellishments on and it feels very fall and rustic to me. I love the addition of all those acorns. I like the pumpkins and the burlap leaves. I think everything really came together beautifully for this wreath. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's 8 fall wreaths. I always have so much fun pulling together fun and unique wreaths for you. If you enjoy craft tutorials and hauls, you're going to want to check out these other videos. Thanks so much for stopping by. It's always a pleasure. You have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.